Nervous?
Yes.
First time.
No, I've been nervous lots of times.
Hello, and welcome to Dots, Lines, and Destinations. This is episode 66 on November 6th, 2014. And this is Seth leading today's episode because Steven's not here. But we've got Rollo and Foz, and we're actually recording in London at World Travel Market 2014. Also have Kerwin McKenzie as a special guest.
Hey.
He just waved, which doesn't really work on radio, but we'll go with it. Kerwin is the man behind PassRider.com, does a lot of work in non-rev and employee travel, and has actually some incredible stories about Zed fares in Central America that I seem to remember. That maybe we'll get to one of those if we got time left at the end of the show. But in the meantime, I want to sort of mostly talk about what's going on here at World Travel Market, but also a few changes and developments that have happened in the industry the last couple of weeks. I think maybe the most significant, and largely because it's relatively insignificant, is American announced their 2014 or 2015 AAdvantage program details. And they didn't really change much.
That's good.
Are we surprised?
They probably weren't ready to change anything, so they had to just keep it the same.
I'm sure that's part of it. I mean, obviously, and there's also the technology aspect of things, right? The technology necessary to make all these changes is not easy, and trying to roll it out both in shares and in Sabre would be an interesting choice.
The question that I have is, do you guys feel that this merger is moving slower than the other two?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know that it's true, but it feels it.
My guess is that they want to make sure it's right, because they've had so many problems with other mergers, so they want to make sure they don't, take off enough customers.
Yeah, doesn't every airline decide to merge say we're going to take it slow and make sure we get it right and still screw it up? Like, is this just a function of we're going to take it super slow and maybe we get lucky and don't screw it up?
Well, we're almost at the year mark. We're a few weeks away from the 1 year mark from when it closed.
Right.
We have no mileage sharing across the two programs. We have very little benefits across the two programs.
Right.
Which seems much slower than both the Delta and the United merger.
Yeah, but that took a while on United. I mean, remember they were like the first thing you could do was transfer miles between, but there was no like status matching or anything for a while. I mean, everybody was like complaining about that, and they finally came out with it.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to actually go back and look, I think, at the details to see if we really are different this time around. I will say the one that seems interesting to me is just the reciprocity was a little slower to come together this time, I feel like, for upgrades and such. And a big reason for that, though, is there were two different programs, right? They were very differently run, with E500s on American and unlimited upgrades for US.
It's not even full reciprocity, though.
All right, because
the others, they did full reciprocity when they
because the systems were similar enough that the code, right? Can you imagine trying to program E500s into shares for the US Airways system?
Could be amusing.
Somebody laughed. I think the audience has laughed underneath us.
Yeah. Kerwin, the only one of us here who actually has direct experience with shares, is laughing probably the hardest. So.
Well, it's really very difficult in the back end. There's a lot more that goes into it. Like, you really want to roll it out, but you don't want to screw it up. Of course. Because you don't want someone to show up and, they don't have a seat, which is the very last thing. Because you don't want to, tick off your very best customers, which is what you'll do if you mess it up.
That's like Steven got picked off only a day ago.
Steven's not here because his flights got completely screwed up and he never actually went anywhere.
He's stuck in Central America somewhere.
No, he's not here because he wasn't actually planning on coming. But
he did get denied boarding
and
seat removals.
Shenanigans.
There were some interesting shenanigans with the denied boarding.
We'll let him tell the story.
Maybe he'll write up a story on Bad Ice for us on that.
That'd be a funny one.
Yeah. So the other part of this that's interesting is everyone's saying nothing's changing. Really, for U.S. Airways dividend miles elites, a lot has changed, actually. They're basically getting the American program. So chairmans get an upgrade because now they get 8 EVIPs instead of the 2 that they've been getting in the past for their international trips. But the gold, silvers, and platinums, platinum disappears. There's no more 75K level.
Yep.
And golds and silvers, which will now become gold and platinums because American does their medals differently, are kind of arguably getting screwed here. Yes or no?
Yeah, because there's no more unlimited upgrades.
Now, do you buy into but you get upgrades more often when you want them theory?
I don't believe that at all.
Roll up?
With the 500s?
Yeah.
Well, I don't believe it, but when I first started with American, it was sort of easy to get upgrades. I mean, I can't say I was on very, business-heavy routes, so I think it might be when it's like, all right, well, yeah, there's always availability, but you could find it because you're picking the routes that have availability. But
as an executive platinum, my upgrade rate is probably like 50%. And so, as an executive platinum?
Well, okay, right.
When you're used to non-rev life where the middle seat's the best you're going to get, come on.
So which means the golds and platinums are really the U.S. Airways people are really losing because there's always seats available on U.S. Air.
Yeah.
But don't you have a bigger network now? I mean,
fewer seats, though. Like the new 319s have, or 318 has fewer first-class
But
seats.
that's the problem.
There's no
You're
18s.
complaining about the Los Angeles JFK flight that you don't get upgraded on.
Yeah.
That's because
I mean,
it went from a
people on
7.62
that flight, right?
to a 319.
Well, no, I don't get upgraded on a
Or
lot of stuff.
321T,
Like
whatever
the 738s I struggle with.
Yeah.
A lot of my upgrades this year have been Battlefield.
To be fair, right, this is the whole point of running an airline, is to actually sell upgrades and give out your distressed
money.
inventory, right?
Wait, they're not a charity for the travelers?
No.
Damn it. Especially the cheap-ass travelers like me. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I've read so many posts lately about, but you'll get more upgrades when you really want them, and it takes most of my self-control not to vomit every time I see it, because
Can you make this the title of the show? More upgrades.
Instead of more cowbell?
more vomit when I want it. What?
Are they going to give numbers that you're actually getting more upgrades when you want it?
Oh no one actually can provide those numbers, but everyone says, because fewer people are competing for the upgrades at the lower tiers. I don't buy it at all.
But yet the number of seats overall is dropping.
It's
You know,
I don't buy it. So there's a variety of reasons it doesn't make any sense mathematically. But,
agreed.
Such is life. Such is life. We had an agenda for this show, and I tried to put it in my brain, and then we started talking, and I forgot about it. What else is going on?
So, has anyone ever flown to Heathrow and not had to circle?
No.
Okay.
No.
Actually,
No. Really?
no.
Did you declare emergency? Could you claim tingling in your arm or something on final?
No. The funny thing about Heathrow is that every time you leave the U.S. and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to get in early. I'm
Yeah.
like,
No, you're not.
Really?
But wait,
Really?
You get to London early, you just don't get to the ground
Yeah,
early.
yeah. Even if you land, you still have to wait to cross the runway.
that's the thing, though. On this flight that I just came from Barcelona, we got in, and I don't think we circled. I can't say 100% that we did not circle, but we were sent to a remote stand and had to wait 30 minutes for a staircase. So and it's the same thing.
It's fine.
It's the same thing.
The guy in ground up just like, okay, they're on final, so they're going to be 3 loops. Okay, dispatch it for 22 minutes from now, and you just landed, and so they still dispatched the bus late.
But
Yep.
you know what, though? It's a spotter's dream, though, because you can see all of the planes flying around.
Yeah.
As you change flight
yeah.
levels, it's very cool.
My favorite is you're sitting there circling, you're looking at it going, there's Gatwick. No one's going there. Why can't we just go there?
On the one runway, sorry.
But it's empty.
It's not, though. Isn't Gatwick basically full and is desperately trying to get a second runway also?
They're trying,
Absolutely
but
they are, yeah.
I never had to circle going to Gatwick.
That's fair.
You know, that's true. That's true. I never took
We'll call it full-ish.
Full-ish.
Nice.
Thought about that.
Yeah. But, I mean, even with the circling, though, I mean, you ended up, walking in
Yes.
from Heathrow. It took you a little while to get into town.
Well, half the tube lines are out, so I went to my hotel, and they're like, oh, it's check-in time. Your room's not ready. Give it 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. We'll put you in the lounge. 20 minutes later, 30 minutes. Any status? Oh, 5 more minutes.
Did you at least get, a nice upgrade?
Yeah.
No. That was even more disappointing.
Wah, wah,
Points?
wah.
Yeah, it's a points redemption, but...
More points.
Where did you fly in from?
Detroit.
Oh.
I redeemed Sky Pesos for this one.
Low?
Yes. That was the amazing thing during World Travel Market. Low, business, and I did Newark, Detroit, Heathrow, Heathrow, Seattle.
Well, I think it's because you arrived today. Well, you left yesterday, so how do you...
Maybe Sunday.
You're a day late, but
Yeah, so that's fine.
Well, I was supposed to go to Hawaii this weekend, but that didn't work out.
cool. Also, going on right now at World Travel Market, one of the big deals is Etihad Residences have finally made a vaguely public appearance.
And it's fantastic.
I used the word amazeballs when I described it in my blog post originally.
Yeah.
But the question is, I said posted more of a, is this really that amazing? Is this really amazeballs? And at the time, I was skeptical.
No?
Now, having spent some time in the space, experiencing just how much room there is, Foz, I mentioned to you as we were walking through the show floor earlier, I think this is now the only product that can be reasonably called suites, because it is the only one that in fact has multiple rooms.
Yeah, it's big. It's big.
It's huge.
Yeah. I think what's more impressive for me was the butler.
Yeah. Who was
Yeah.
the butler you spoke with? Was it
I
Georgiana?
had, Georgiana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I spoke with
if I
Georgiana as
fly
well.
that flight, I want her.
Yeah. Well, you've got a 1 in 15 chance.
Oh, okay.
There are only 15 trained butlers.
Wow.
They've all recently graduated from Savoy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's supposed to mean something. I actually am clearly not cultured enough to know what it means.
It's a big deal here in the UK.
Okay.
Are they only flying this on Heathrow, Abu Dhabi?
It's going to start Heathrow Abu Dhabi until they get up to 3 daily on that route when they get enough aircraft. From there, Sydney will be next. And Georgiana seems to think that, I think it was Georgiana, maybe
No, it was the corporate sales.
Okay. Yeah, so the corporate saleswoman we were speaking with mentioned that she thinks New York in a couple of years may be joining as the next
really?
She said
A380.
soon. I don't think she meant a couple
Okay.
years.
She sort of hedged her bet afterwards, though, because there's not enough planes.
Yeah.
It really depends on their delivery timeline. And Sydney's really far from Abu Dhabi, and so is New York. So each one takes more than one aircraft.
And there's only one seat per aircraft, right?
Right, there's only one residence.
One residence, sorry.
One residence.
one
Two
residence.
seats.
How many people can be booked into residence?
Two.
But two, yeah.
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 Same price.
Okay.
Yeah. The second
which
person
is
flies for
And
free.
I did ask, if you don't want to share the bed, they could set up a bed for you in the outer residence part, like where you
the
eat.
living room.
The living room converts.
The living room seating area converts into a bed if you're flying, not with a
Significant other.
yeah.
So if you're traveling with an insignificant other,
That's
all
all
right.
right. Couch for you.
Or if you bring your own butler,
Yeah.
they have
or
to stay
or if you
there.
have to bring a Kickstarter winner.
Oh, you had to go there. Huh?
Sorry,
whatever happened with that?
they didn't make the funding.
Yeah.
We have a plane on approach.
Nice.
Oh.
We should also let our listeners know we're recording this outside with views of the runway at City Airport and literally watching the planes come and go very few feet away. I'll try to get a picture of that and post it as the show notes or something maybe. But
What did you guys think of their other products, like Business and Coach on the A380?
Coach?
Well, you saw. I pointed out the screens were big.
That's true. The in-seat screens are big.
Yeah.
I actually wonder sometimes if, like, that, I think it's like a 12-inch screen in Coach. Like, at 31 to 33-inch pitch, I always wonder if 12-inch screens are too big.
You can't even see.
You have to stand your head back and forth to see the whole screen. First world problems, even in Coach.
Exactly.
But
It's a tough life.
it is.
I did like the first apartment. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Apartments,
apartments.
yeah.
For the first, that was actually really nice, and you could easily. It was hard to tell whether that's exactly how it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Because the windows are on the right and the two.
Right, the windows are over on the side where the
Yeah.
sort of chair part is, and then there's a bed/chair that's also made up. They can combine them, so it's not quite a double bed the way like Singapore does,
You can
but
hold
the
half.
head half comes
You
down,
can
like it
hold
stops
half.
at the waist.
Yeah.
So no hanky-panky.
No hanky-panky.
Well,
Right.
It depends. You can do footsies.
well, that's the plane.
Well,
Let's just say that the first apartments also have a bathroom, so not in suite, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's still one.
with the shower.
with the shower.
Yeah,
And I think max occupancy is also 2.
probably.
So
Or,
every other seat is rear facing. Is that how it
Yeah.
works?
In the
Okay.
residence?
In the apartments, half of them are rear-facing for takeoff and landing because they face each other. They're mirrors. I think it's 6 of them are
No.
pairs like that,
Uh-huh.
and then 3 are not.
That's right. They
Okay.
did tell us that. There's 9 seats,
And there's
9,
one by
9
itself,
apartments,
right?
There's the 9 apartments,
and one
and then there's
suite.
one
A
And
residence.
one residence. Okay.
And then there's takeoff. And I just lost the entirety of our team recording as they all ran over to look at the plane taking off.
It's a 757 according to Fox.
No, that's a Dash 8. Thank you very much.
757 prop, really? I heard Boeing was reopening the line.
New retrofit.
New retrofit, sweet. Now I think the Etihad Business we sat in. It's a front-rear facing mix.
She gave it some kind of yin-yang.
Yin Yang, as she called it, yeah. And it is like that. It's nice that you can do similar to Thai and similar to Emirates and a few of the others. You get like the pairs that are close together and the pairs that are not. So if you're traveling with someone, even with direct aisle access, you get that sort of close feel. So you can travel with your travel partner. That's one of my big hates about the reverse herringbone layout is you don't actually get to be with your travel partner when you're traveling with someone.
It's kind of weird.
I prefer jumping over them than not being able to sit next to them. So, but yeah, I think the business seemed a little narrow in the shoulders. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought so too. But it's we're complaining about.
Yeah, these are tiny things to be
exactly.
bitching
Is
about.
this only on the 380s, or are they going to retrofit the 777s?
7-8.
I think it's the 380 and the 78 is the seat they're getting. And it's going to be a 1-2-1 layout, basically, so everybody gets direct aisle.
What did the flight attendant tell us? They could only be certified.
Each flight attendant's only allowed to work 3 types for Etihad, so they get 3 type ratings, basically. But compared to Emirates, which apparently is you just get either 777 or A380, basically.
Right.
I guess there's some people like on the 340s or 330s, but yeah, they're allowed to do 3 different ones. So she's now a 380 flight attendant. So that was interesting. But she was talking about, because you remember Etihad's fleet is much more diverse. They've got 320s also.
Right.
They have those Etihad like Italian planes or whatever. Didn't I ask you guys about it? It's like Etihad regional, but in Europe.
Yeah, it's Darwin. It's old Darwin Air. It's up in Switzerland.
Yeah, that's right. It was
They bought quite a lot of.
Yeah, and they're trying to have Etihad
Very
Italia
regionals.
went out with the Alitalia deal. I don't know if it's closed yet. But they're working on it. So, yeah, but I think Etihad, is of the airlines clearly put on the biggest splash. But that's mostly because they had the residents on display. So, and the Emirates booth, by comparison, next door seemed pretty sad and pathetic, even though it was brightly lit and sort of busy. But it was all Emirates employees like hustling around trying to make it look like something was going on.
The Emirates product is getting dated at this
Sure.
point because it's been around for so long.
Yeah. So will they renew? Will they come up with something bigger and better?
What will they call it? You gotta come up with a new name? Another 7.5 taken off from London City Airport. Boss just noted.
And one coming in.
The Etihad A380 actually is going to make a landing.
It'll take off with an ounce of fuel.
It'll finish its roll right here.
half a mile past the end of the runway.
Figured it out.
So other topics we wanted to talk about. There was some a reader question.
A reader question. Our listener/reader.
And so, Rollo, you got that.
Yeah,
details.
well, he's will remain anonymous. He does not like to be because people are going to make fun of him. He thinks.
Only a little bit.
He was actually on his way. He landed today in Munich. He was coming from Newark to Munich, and he asked me, one, is there Wi-Fi on the plane, and two, is there DirecTV because he wanted to watch the Monday Night Football game.
Okay.
So I said I will ask my expert colleague to share. Why not? Because he didn't believe me that there are some limitations to the system, the DirecTV system. And I told him Wi-Fi was coming down the road, but maybe you can share some light for this listener/reader.
Sure. So the answer for DirecTV is no. And the reason for that is the satellite coverage that DirecTV pulls from is basically only over the continental United States. The satellite that they use is actually called DirecTV 101.
Well, they're on 5 now, 5 different satellites.
Live TV is not.
But the TV service.
DirecTV has 5 different satellites it uses, but in order to facilitate working on the planes and not having to switch satellites, which typically takes 90 to 180 seconds, during which there'd be an outage in the system, Live TV only connects to the one satellite, which is 101.
Okay.
So that way they can provide uninterrupted service, except when the plane banks or goes through clouds or something like that.
Or lands.
But so they only use 101. Now what that means is 101 doesn't have HD content on it yet. That's not going to come until 2017 or so. So everything you're getting is still standard def content. And 2, you're subject to the coverage area that 101 has.
Well, that's what I said, and he's like, well, it's in the sky. What do you mean the coverage area? So my thing was, I didn't know the answer. I said, how at home you have to point south, but that's apparently not the answer.
So
it's part of it.
Why can't the sun light up the entire Earth at the same time?
Well, that's why I also threw in the coverage. I threw in the curvature of the Earth. And he just didn't believe me. He's like, he agreed,
Did he
but he
go
was
back
very
to
skeptical.
pre-Newtonian times where the Earth was flat, or pre-Galileo times when the Earth was flat? Galileo is that one, right? Copernicus? How far do we have to go back for this?
Columbus?
Definitely wasn't Columbus.
No. They thought the Earth was flat.
I don't know. Clearly,
Well, they definitely did.
Earlier than that.
I know, but up to Columbus, they thought it was
history's lost
flat.
on me. It was Galileo.
I hated history. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe it was Galileo. Anyways, so basically, the other thing you have to take into account with satellites is there's only so much power and energy on the satellite. And so it expends power pushing the signal down to the area it covers. And so the broader area it covers, the more power it consumes. And for something like if you wanted to cover all of the Americas, you'd need more power to get enough bandwidth to put all the data, which is the TV channels, in it. There's also this little thing of licensing and, sort of transmission rights where DirecTV is only actually legally permitted to broadcast to the United States, and that's where the content is licensed. In reality, if you fly, say, from Detroit across the Canadian border into Windsor, it doesn't, shut off immediately. If you live in the Bahamas and you commute to Miami, buy a dish and a receiver, and then go home, it's not going to disappear. But legally, they're not supposed to operate it, and the airlines aren't supposed to show it if you're outside the United States. So that's why the DirecTV works the way it does. From an in-flight internet perspective, Panasonic is the provider United is using. I'm assuming he's flying on United since he's talking about Live TV. Right? Yeah. Panasonic is the provider that United is using for their transatlantic or long-haul fleets. And that actually is global coverage. They have a number of different satellites, and that's one where, it'll do the handoff, and it'll take the 60 to 90 to 180 seconds, whatever it is, while it switches satellites, and so you'll lose your connection for a little bit. But the satellites that they've chosen to use are relatively well-spaced, so you shouldn't have to switch too often. And that's still, though, that's global coverage, but that's, in his case, it's just a function of getting those systems installed on the planes.
Right. Yeah, because I flew Chicago, Hong Kong.
Okay.
And on a 7%, and I had internet the whole way.
Yep.
Yeah.
It fades out at the polar regions, but if you can sleep for that half hour, I guess. But yeah, so it's interesting, and then there's the GX, which is a new Ka band system from Inmarsat that's coming soon, is actually going to, I even think, maybe provide polar coverage or closer to polar coverage as their system gets up in high speed. So closer to polar, I think, is really where we'll end up. But it's some cool stuff, the way all the satellite systems work and sort of the way the antenna rotates underneath the shell and how all that happens. It's not, it's not your home parabolic dish. It's a rectangle that's about 28 inches wide and 4 inches tall that then rotates on an axis to create the beam it needs to the satellite. But it's pretty cool stuff.
Okay. Very cool. So his reader question has been answered.
Reader question has been answered.
Now, do they actually have, because of the Wi-Fi site seems to make it seem like one of the 764s is done.
Does it?
Yes.
I know they've been working, now that we're off season and they've got more slack in the schedule, I know they're working aggressively towards that. A bunch of 777s are getting converted.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of 777s were done, but it looked like 764 was done as well.
Interesting.
Okay.
I wonder if that's in getting, I don't know if the STC's been issued. There may be That's the first one that's happening while they're waiting for the STC. So that's interesting. Another interesting topic that came up at World Travel Market this week, I just happened to be wandering around, there's a new hotel loyalty program that's trying to launch.
Really? What's that?
And what's the name is a damn good question. I think I got the guy's business card.
Not the Whole Foods
It's called
program.
Whole Foods Hotels.
It's called Universal Points. It's for unaffiliated hotels. So a lot of independents that, sort of want to have a loyalty program but don't have one yet and sort of want to go that route. And it was interesting. Their play is ridiculously simple. Straight 5% cash back. Book direct, right? Because the whole thing for the hotel's perspective is stop booking OTAs. They want to stop paying that commission.
Yeah.
So book direct, 5% straight cash back.
Okay.
It's an interesting play to me. One of the things that I found most intriguing, he said, when they were surveying some people, running focus groups and such, one of the things they offered was, what if we gave you an option between 5% cash or 10% towards your next hotel booking? Which is essentially what Hotels.com or an Expedia Rewards or some of those are. And he said, overwhelmingly, the response was, we'd rather the cash, even at half price. Is that as surprising to you as it is to me?
Yeah, because, well, you know what? It depends on who you survey. Because if you're constantly staying at hotels, then
Right.
you
And
probably
so
take that deal, right?
part of this is it's people who don't have enough stays to have elite status, loyalty status in any program. They're staying in independent hotels. Although you look at me, I had 130 something nights away from home in 2014. And I haven't actually legitimately earned any hotel elite program status.
It would also appeal to the.
I own like 7 of them from credit cards, but I don't earn any of them.
It would also appeal to people who don't stay at hotels much because who knows when they'll be able to use the points
Right.
or that 10% credit.
And you may not get like an Expedia, Hotels.com, you need 10 nights to get your free night average. So
Right. So
if you're only doing
it's-
5, you're not getting anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And so and that is definitely part of it. It was interesting to me to hear the talk about how they're finding a large population of people who couldn't care less about the next hotel stay in terms of trying to build loyalty in that regard.
There are a bunch of people like that.
Yeah.
I
It's a huge
imagine
market
we'll
like
start
that.
seeing that in some of the
Yeah.
airline stuff as well. As the loyalty programs become less rewarding,
Yeah.
you don't need the free upgrades if you're flying a couple times a year. Just pay the extra money at this point.
Yeah,
because
but
the fare difference is so small.
The airline doesn't really give out commissions. I mean, they're not going to give this guy's getting the hotel to give him some money
Right.
to give
No,
the loyalty.
I'm not talking about a third-party program. I'm just talking about the deviation from the lack of loyalty.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I think we'll see stuff like that start to develop more and more. So it'll be interesting. I think the other aspect of this that was interesting to me is just that they were targeting random independent hotels, and it's basically just that little push over the edge to book direct, where you can. And they talk about some sort of free-form text field of like benefits you want when you show up, but no guarantee on delivery of anything. Like, I want green M&Ms in my room. Okay, good luck with that.
But if these are small little hotels, how are they getting exposure? Like, right, a lot of these hotels get exposure through the Expedias, the Orbits of the world.
Sure.
And that's how people find them.
So this program provides an index and a sort of shopping mall for them. So there's something like that out there, but a lot of it is just hope people find and book direct, and while you're here, maybe you'll sign up for this program and get your 5% back as well. So it's interesting. I'll write up eventually. Maybe it'll be out before this episode comes up. Maybe not. 'Cause I do think it's worth going into a little more detail and sort of talking about what it means for the market trends in general, because it is very different. Right, Club Carlson and Hilton both have huge booths here, and these guys have like a little stall in the corner where they're trying to find hotels to work with. But it's an interesting play.
Any hotels in the U.S.? Like, did they
They've
name
got a
any
few.
hotels? Oh, they do.
Yeah, and they've got them on their website. There's one in New York City. There's a few in Miami. Down on the beach down there. So it's there's a couple in Argentina actually, in Buenos Aires. So
Really?
Yeah, we'll get you hooked up.
All right. Universal points.
There you go.
So yeah, it's a fun little bit. Anywho, is it time for the Rolo rant?
It is time for the Rolo rant. So this rant is courtesy of American Airlines. I think American is the leader of rants for me because they just always seem to do something. So I was flying to Buenos Aires last Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, I think Wednesday. Show up to American at JFK. Go to check in. Actually, while I was on my way from the air train, the people mover was broken, so I was like, this is not a good sign. I just happened to glance at the monitors, and I see it says Buenos Aires canceled.
Oops.
So I was like, oh no, you did not just do that. I go to the gate, the counter, I ask, and the lady's like looking at me like, oh, why are you here? I said, why am I here? I'm supposed to fly to Buenos Aires. She's like, oh yeah, no, your flight's canceled. I was like, she's like, you're probably rebooked for tomorrow. I was like, okay, but I need to go today. And number two, why wasn't I notified? She's like, no, everybody was notified. I said, well, I have an email from you guys telling me to check in, and you guys sent the email late at like 5:30 in the morning, checking in for the day's flight, like October 29th. So how would I know it's canceled? She's like, oh, it says here in the notes that somebody called and left a voicemail at 2 in the morning. I was like, that doesn't help me at all. Do not call me at 2 in the morning and leave a voicemail. At least send me an email saying your flight's been canceled. Like, why
Did you go back and check? Did you have a voicemail?
I didn't. I
Okay.
definitely did not have a voicemail from them.
Wonder what somebody called.
Yeah. Well, anyways. So then I said, okay, well, let me try to, I need to get down there. It's very important business down there. She's like, I said, I want to go on the Sao Paulo flight. Not even knowing what time the Sao Paulo flight leaves, but she's like, oh, yeah, great, we have seats. It's at 11:50. And she's like, let me see if I can connect you from Sao Paulo to Buenos Aires. And at first she wasn't finding any space. Then she told me, yeah, I could find you space in coach. I said, well, this is a paid business fare. She's like, well, your inventory's not available. I said, I don't care. You guys have a delay. Like, put me on the other one. And then I started pulling out the Qatar flight. I wanted the Qatar flight. So they finally booked me on time. They get a seat for me. We go to board, at around 11:30. I get on the plane. They close the door, and as we're about to push, the pilot's like, well, folks, looks like...
Two greatest words from a pilot.
It looks like we have a possible bird strike that we need to inspect on the engine. Now, why they had to wait until then to find out a possible bird strike? I mean, we're talking about, 20 minutes after the scheduled departure. Don't they inspect the plane?
It sits there all day, doesn't it?
I don't know.
They use the planes in and out of JFK.
There's 777W, some of them sit there all day.
I don't
For
know.
London?
Not all, because they only have 3 flights to London now.
Oh.
They drop from 5 to 3, so some of them, if you go by during the day,
I think
they're
I
sitting there.
forgot to check where it came from. It might have arrived from Sao Paulo that morning. I also forgot to mention that the reason the flight was canceled, they claimed that it was weather and no planes could leave, but that was the day before, so there was a...
That makes me a 7.5.
No pause. Still not a 7.5.
That's the one I...
So...
I think that's a 318 going to New York.
At this time?
That's 5 o'clock, yeah.
It's about the right time.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock. That could be the
That was
318
it.
in New York.
Technically, we're Shannon.
Because that's definitely
Yeah, that's
one.
true.
Yeah.
Well, anywho, they told me it was an issue that, the no planes left. Meanwhile, I checked the United site, and the United flight left. They leave around the same time. They just didn't want to have 2 planes operate on the next day. So
It's a sad day when United gets out.
I know. I was
American
shocked.
doesn't.
I was sure that I was looking at the United one. I was going to say canceled also. But anyways, so yeah, they didn't operate. But so they have to inspect a tail strike. Or not a tail strike, bird strike. We get, whatever, about an hour, 20 minutes. Okay, yeah, everything's fine, folks. Because they'd reopen the door, they open it up. Now they close it again. A few minutes later, flight attendants disarm doors. I was like, oh no, what happened now? Of course, we get folks, we're up here ready to push back, and we noticed that one of the fuel pumps were not functioning properly. He's like, we don't need all the fuel pumps, but this requires an extra check of the other fuel pumps and some more paperwork. Now, meanwhile, people are freaking out. Start screaming, get me off this plane.
And what time is it?
At this point, I don't even know.
1:30
All I
in the
can tell
morning?
you is that at around 3:40 a.m., my flight left.
Ouch.
I got to Sao Paulo, I don't even know what time, because there's a 3-hour time difference. And then, icing on the cake, the Tom flight went mechanical for a while. And at that point, I tried to I said, okay, there's one flight, the Qatar flight is still not leaving yet, because at this point it's almost 6 o'clock at night. And that flight leaves at 6:50. And the agent was going to put me on the flight, except she said, well, you need to go to the ticket counter. And I tried to explain to her that I was behind customs and immigration, and that was not an option. And then she's like, well, Tam won't let us do anything. Why don't you talk to them? I said, when I show them my ticket with American on it, they just don't even talk to me. They call American.
But they have an Admiral's lounge there, right?
No, because it's T3 now. There's
they moved,
there's a
okay.
Land Tam lounge now.
Oh, they just done the
there's the
airport.
share.
Yeah, and of course the internet at the new lounge doesn't work. The South American internet does not
South
work.
American airport internet.
It's right next to the Star Alliance internet, which I had no internet that one day where they had that sign where it said no internet.
The showers in Sao Paulo, the United Club, now work, though.
Ooh.
It took years, but they
Ah.
actually
6 years
work.
later, they finally repaired them.
Yeah.
And also another quick small rant. Speaking of showers, there's a lounge in Barcelona in the international side that I asked to take a shower, and they're like, "Oh, do you have your own towel and shampoo?"
What?
Yes. And I said no. She's like, "Oh, we have a kit for €10." So even if you're like an Emirates First or whatever, anything, you have to pay $10.
It's $10. It's like $13.
€10.
Yeah.
Sorry, €10. Yeah.
That's okay. The Geneva Lounge for Swiss doesn't have any showers, so
I'd rather have
I
no
showed up yesterday-
showers.
Yeah,
than-
I showed up yesterday smelling.
Towel.
Pay for a towel. That's an interesting one.
Well, that's my rant.
So did you finally get to New York?
I got to Buenos Aires. Yeah, I finally got to Buenos Aires.
Okay, good.
Like at 11 o'clock the next day at night, 11 p.m.
Didn't they offer you some sort of compensation for this delay?
Well, it was an automated. So they don't call you to tell your flight's canceled. They don't email you to cancel, but they'll email you like, oh yeah, we noticed your flight was slightly delayed. Here's 5,000 miles we've credited your account for.
Nice.
That's not bad.
And
You could get a magazine with that,
That was
right?
Steven's comment. He goes, oh, you could get a magazine for that. So unbelievable. The plus side was I did get the 77W, which was nice.
How'd you like it? You flew in
I
business?
flew it in business, and
Okay.
I did it to Chicago. I mean, Heathrow last year, but
Okay.
I haven't done it in a while. It's nice. I mean, the screens are nice. I forgot how big the screens were. They're pretty
Yeah,
nice. I
they're
mean,
nice.
they're too close though. Like if you're just sitting up,
Yeah, once you
you're like
tilt
it's
the
right.
screen.
Yeah, you're like right
Right
at
up
your
in it.
face.
Yeah,
It's almost like the Etihad coach.
Nice. Well, I did that flight in coach, and I recommend against it. The 77W.
Oh, you said it was tight, right?
It is
I
a
did
tight
coach,
squeeze.
I've done it in coach. I would agree.
From London.
Yeah.
I did Dallas to London last year.
I feel like I almost could tolerate it on a daytime flight, because then, like, at least I could stand up and walk around during the flight and not hate myself. Like, I could take a nap for an hour or two, but trying to sleep in those seats for the red eye would just not be a happy place for me. But then again, you know, I fly. This today was my 10th crossing in coach, or this trip over here was my 10th transatlantic in coach this year.
So that's crying now?
Just saying, I'd spent enough time in coach that, like, even as bad as that was, it wasn't really that bad. I still got to go to Vienna and have a great time, so
There you go.
That's
Good
good.
wine
man.
all I want.
Good man.
So I think it's gotten dark, and that means that we
Yes.
must end the show. It's not safe to be out here. A plane could.
Take off over our heads again.
Or we get stuck out here.
Or we get stuck out
overnight.
here. There's a very
Well,
legitimate
that actually was my concern that the show might end. And we have to
There's still people inside. Good. All right. Well, let's go around the room. Tell everybody where they can find you online, what you're doing, anything.
You can find me at passrider.com. It's a site for airline employees. It's kind of giving you flight schedules and overall destination information.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl.
I'm on upjrd.com/Foz, and on Twitter as FozM.
I am on Twitter at MundoSurfer, and I'm on Tumblr at mundosurfer.tumblr.com. Always get to laugh.
Yeah. When even you're laughing about it, it's hard for the rest of us to keep a straight face. That's all
Because
I'm saying.
it's just a picture blog of my pictures.
That's good.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm Seth, the Wandering Airman, windr.me.
There's our new intro clip.
That was an airplane flying over our head. Steven is not on this episode, but he is at SCGraves on Twitter, and he's occasionally blogging at badice.com. You can follow the Dots, Lines, and Destinations podcast at Dots Lines on Twitter, or at moredotsmorelines.com. What?
Boarding area?
Oh, yeah, that's right, we are. We're part of Boarding Area now, so you can find our content on boardingarea.com as well. We are the flagship of the podcast section there, which I think we're actually the only podcast there. But, flagship. Yeah, Extra Pack of Peanuts. Extra Pack of Peanuts has some podcast episodes as well. He's in there, so there's a few others bits that show up. But, drop us a line, leave a comment. Obviously, if you got questions or stuff you want us to talk about, we answer those on the air, so to speak. Always happy to hear from you. Have a great trip. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Take care.